Hi everybody, I'm Julie. I'm here today at the Prima offices doing a little, gosh, wake up Julie. Oh, can you do me a favor, Shanette?
I sure can.
Can you tell Frank I can't get the chat up?
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Not a problem.
We need to get the live chat up. So we know what's happening out there. Today, I'm going to show you these new stamps as well as the watercolor pencils. And I want to explain the new stamps to you. We have stamps in their underwear. And the reason these little people are in their underwear is because you guys can now dress them the way you see fit. This is Adam. We named him after Adam here at Prima because when I was drawing him, his head and hair looked like Adam. So that's just stuck in my head. And then this is Marisol, who also works for Prima. We just decided that we would name her Marisol because for CHA last month we did this little wedding scene using these stamps. So with these stamps, they each have an outfit. And I want to show you, there's pink bands on the bottoms of these packages. So in the future, they may have more outfits and they will be banded with that pink at the bottom. So the stores and you all know that they go together. We have watercolor pencils. These are the hair and skin tones. And then there is just a whole array of colors to do other things. And I picked this is called, I think it was spring or something that we're going to use today to color. First, before we get started, I kind of want to show you these stamps and how they work. A man is pretty self-explanatory, and you all know that I don't get real excited about man's stamps. They're just not that fun. But I wanted to show you, and I used a paper that showed up pretty well. You can stamp her little slip on a different paper, and then you can stamp her skirt and make a dress. You can cut off that skirt and make a shorter dress. You could cut off that skirt even shorter and make a shorter skirt. There's also a tank dress, which is really cute. It can be just a dress, and you can do all that other stuff using a different type of top. There's also a little ruffle, which you could do at the waist for a little peplum. You could do it at the bottom. You have to kind of adjust it and cut it to fit, but that works. Somebody showed me this works as like a little ruffle at the top. And of course, you can, let's go back to this one because it shows up a little better. You can ruffle the waist with a larger skirt. That's not probably the color combo I would use, but actually that's pretty cute. So all kinds of things that you can do with this stamp set. And what I thought I'd show you right now is even another version. After watching the Grammys Tuesday night, Taylor Swift had this great little dress on. And what I did is I stamped this long skirt twice, and I stamped the little tank dress. So what I'm going to do is put this little tank dress on, and I'm going to cut the second skirt into 2 pieces. And I'm doing this for the first time, so I hope it doesn't come out all wonky, because sometimes things come out a little wonky the first time. I'm not going to get too concerned about the bottom. I'm going to cut a piece off of the side, and I kind of followed the lines that are stamped on here as a guide, and I'll adjust if I have to. Now, if any of you saw the Grammy, she was wearing this blue gown it was short, and then it had a piece in the back like this. Hers was all blue, but I'm doing this in different colors, and I just grabbed anything to kind of show you. And this side turned out good because you can see this side I should have cut a little more, so I'm going to play with this because I really want the front of her gown. You could see there was a back part and a front part. So basically it looked kind of like this. And I probably should have cut a piece at home that was a little more that fit. So her dress looks something like that, which I think would be really fun to do for a funky little formal gown or what have you. I'll show you a close-up of the bride, because what I did for the bride, and I'll show you this piece again. That's the piece, that's the actual stamp. And when I stamped on this beautiful butterfly paper that's new, I added some side pieces just to make it a little more full. And then I cut the skirt twice again, and that's what her veil actually is. So it's 2 layers where I just cut that short piece, and then I added a little headband. And as you can see in this close-up, she's wearing a necklace. We made some jewelry pieces for these girls this time around, and they come in a black, a white pearl, a cream pearl, and a clear sparkle. That's one that I've already used, some of them. All kinds of possibilities for these. You can cut them up and you can make stacks of bracelets. You can add the pieces. You can make headbands. You can do all kinds of things. So the jewelry is a lot of fun, and I just thought I would show you guys that because it is so fun. Wow, this chat thing is getting long. So, yeah, that paper was from the Anna Marie collection, which I used a lot because of the colors. Love those color combinations with a lot of my girl tags from about a year, or girl stamps from about a year ago. The other thing I'm going to show you really quick before we dig into the watercolor pencils, is this little armoire shaped tag pad. And I may do a live with Prima on this next month because I've been doing a lot of really fun things with it. And it comes in different colorations. This is a light teal. It comes in, and you can see that it's all chippy and shabby chic. And it comes in different wood tones. It comes in a pink color, which is really pretty. And this tag is just from CHA, and it's really simple. There's nothing to this tag, but I've done some really fun things that you can do with this tag besides it being really basic. But you can see with a stamp and flowers, it's just really cute. So unfortunately, these little tags are sitting on a boat somewhere off the docks of California waiting to be unpacked because we have a huge problem out there. So hopefully those will be here soon and into the stores. So with the I wanted to show you some different ways I'm using the watercolor pencils that aren't the norm. And I'm going to use this Prima water brush, which is really super cool. You fill it with water and you squeeze it, and it brings the water down. Usually I do this on my clothes when I'm at home, and then I get it just damp. I don't want a lot of water on it. I pre-stamped some girls, and what I want to tell you about first is ink, because we ran into a problem in a class. I like using Archival Ink. I've even used distressed ink. Let it dry. I don't use a ton of water, so there's not any bleeding problems. But somebody in a class brought StazOn, and they used StazOn, and that made perfect sense to me because it's a permanent ink. It made perfect sense to her. It was actually a group of girls. And when they started painting, it bled all over. And there was someone in the class who was kind of an ink expert, and she told me that the StazOn takes about 24 hours to thoroughly dry. So using a permanent ink seems like a smart idea, but it really wasn't unless you're going to pre-stamp everything the day before. So I prefer Archival, and when I do use a distressed ink pad, I will use a very dark brown, because if there is any bleeding, which I normally don't have, because I do let it dry, it's brown, so it just adds a little more color to it. I'm using the buff paper pad, which is the skin tones and all the different skin tones. Even with the watercolor pencils, I still love using a good paper with script. Excuse me while I blow my nose. I still like using it. So I'm not going to do a full-on color. I'm not going to color her entire skin with a flesh tone. What I'm going to do is just color in. I'm going to pick either the left or the right to do some shading. And I don't know what side I picked for you guys. It's my left, so it must be your right. And I'm just even going to do her face there. I'm going to make her a blonde. She just looks blonde to me. Let me tell you about the colored pencils. However you open them up, I would take them all out. They are all numbered, and I would put them in. I would group all your browns together, and I would go from light to dark using those numbers, and then I would put your yellows together, and then I would put your peachy flesh tones together, because there's so many brown tones in here. You want to know what, and you can't always tell by the ends or even the leads what is darker than the other. So that's just a little tip to make your life easier. So I'm getting back to the hair. I'm picking, it's a yellow, and then it's kind of a dirty, what I call a dirty blonde color. Kind of a very, very light brown. And I'm going to color in her entire hair. And this is just totally what I call kindergarten style. You don't have to be an artist to do this. We haven't cut them out yet, so you don't have to even stay in the lines. So I did her entire hair with the light yellow. Get this out of the way. So you can really see just that little bit of a shadow and then her yellow hair. I'm going to also do her hair. Well, we'll do a different color. We'll make her a redhead. So I'm going to show you two different ways you can color in their hair. Again, kindergarten style. You don't have to press hard. Watercolor pencils are super soft, so you really don't want to press hard. Now I'm going to upside down. Remember, I'm upside down.
Hey, Shanette, you there?
Yes,
Hey, Emma made you.
thank you.
Well, it's a good thing Shanette didn't get yelled at. We didn't have to hear that. So I'm taking this darker, it's darker than the yellow, but it's the lightest brown, and I'm just doing a little texture in here. So I'm going to take my water pen. And I'm going to start with my lightest, and I'm just going to start blending. You can blend kind of I'm going sideways, or blend out from your line, kind of like you would do with a Copic marker, because it's going to create a very nice shading from dark to light. I'm going to use a darker peach tone here. It's really peach. It's not something I would probably use too much, but just to give you a better idea, because it's darker and you can see it better. I'm just blending that to create a nice little shadow. So you see that? It's still on my script paper. So in choosing not to do a white paper, I don't have to go through all that coloring everything in. Even though these pens have water in them, you still have to clean in between colors. So now I'm going to remember this has two colors, so I'm just going to go over and blend. This is a distressed ink pad. It's not bleeding at all. It seems like it should, but it's not. So I did 2 colors and just kind of blended it in for texture. On this one, my little redhead here, I did the 1 color, and I'm going to just blend it again really nicely. And I'm going to take, and this is where this comes in handy, when I used the lightest kind of red. Now I'm going to go into a couple of different darker tones, and I'm going to use the side of my paper to see if I like them. Now I'm going to, actually there's 2 ways you can do this. So let me put a little more on my paper there. You can, too much water. You can go directly on your brush or on your pencil to get some darker lines. And you can do the texture into her hair that way. You can, we're going to do a darker tone. Put it on your paper and use your paper as kind of a palette. This is a very kind of almost mahogany tone. When it gets on the paper, and you can create your texture that way. So either putting it both colors on at once or using your brush directly on your pencil, whichever way you want. And this is another good reason why I don't cut out the girls. Not only can I go out of the lines, I've got this all this side business for my to use as a palette to see what if these are the right colors I want to use. So let me blend her. Here's a nice cheeky color. I don't like my cheeks super dark, so I'm going to just leave that. With a darker tone paper, I thought I'd show you that too. I used, and I was trying different things on her hair. I used the absolute darkest, and again, when I'm playing with the colors on the side, I'll look and see what number I'm using, and then I'll write that number down so I know. And I've got different tones of brown here, so I'm going to use this one just to create that shading. And again, this is really subtle, whereas the one next to it that I already did was a little bit darker, and I actually like the one that I just used better. I think it blends a little nicer. What's nice about doing this shading process is when we cut them out and we ink their edges, it does give them a nice edge, but all of this where there should be a shadow, you get to create that with the watercolors now. And inking your edges just increases the sharpness of that edge, so it comes out really nice. So anyway, I really still use my script papers all the time for making my girls, because that's just what I like to use. But we can also, oh, this is my kids' pad. When I'm practicing, I do not want to use something that I spent a lot of money on. And this is a kid's pad that I probably bought at Target. And here I was practicing some watercolors, not using stamps, just playing. And when I'm doing something like that, I do not want to be using something that I spent a lot of money on until I have the technique down. Okay, that's just going to give me problems. So let's stamp a girl. On this. I couldn't find a watercolor pad from Prima for the life of me that I had, so I had to pick up that pad pretty quickly. So, okay, we have our little girl on white watercolor paper. And this I'm just going to do fairly quickly because I really want to show you the dresses. We're going to play with more dresses. And I'm pretty much coloring in the entire piece. She doesn't have shoes, so we're going to... Why doesn't she have shoes? Maybe she's going to get shoe stamps. I don't know. And I think we'll use this color. Maybe. I'm going to play with some different colors here for her shading, so we'll see. Make sure I got all that brown off. I'm going to go ahead and blend. I didn't let my ink dry. You know, distressed ink takes a few minutes to dry, and I didn't allow drying time, but it's working out okay. I'm not getting super close to any of that. So I blended her. The nice thing, oh, it's bleeding over here. The nice thing about man, that bleed made me lose my train of thought. I have no idea what I was going to say, so we just move on. It's kind of yellow, so I don't really, that's what I use for their hair a lot. And the peach, when you get it wet, it really tones down, so we can kind of use that as shading. I know what I was going to say. When you are doing watercolor, you don't have to be perfect. It's just really getting that hint of color down. So what I just did on her leg, it's so faint. But that is basically how I would do this on plain white paper. But I still prefer my text paper because I don't have to go through all that. The text always adds that element of fun and surprised because it's not expected. I'm putting a skirt on her, so I don't need to cut this out perfectly. I'm just going to cut right up over that part of her slip that was hanging out. Here's a tight curl. I move my paper to get around those tight spots. And I'm cutting really quickly. And my scissors are starting to get dull, so it's even a little bit harder. I don't think I'm going to cut her insides out right now unless I have time at some point. Oh, I should have painted in her shoes and I didn't. Yeah, I'm going to cut out her insides because that's going to make me crazy. Ooh. The knife's going crazy on me. It's so funny how you get used to your own stuff at home. My knife is kind of dull. It needs to be changed. So this knife is like really sharp and it's going crazy on me. It went way crazy on me. And as I cut out the inside with this scissor, I don't want any of you seeing me do that with these big scissors because people laugh. I don't want to be laughed at today. Okay, I'm not going to cut out her arm because that will make me go crazy. So I'm going to ink the edges. We won't look there. I got a brand new ink pad. So I'm going to cover up the places that I don't want you to look. Okay. Not going to look at her. And it just fills in any white spaces that you might have from cutting because, you know, we don't cut perfectly. So there's that. Now I'm going to make her a dress and we're going to continue to use some watercolor pencils. I'm using the tank dress, and since we're not using the entire piece, I'm not going to waste paper and stamp the entire piece. A good way to use scraps. This particular paper is from Bedtime Stories. It's a baby line, but I love this dot pattern. It's yellow with blue, kind of a dark teal dot. It works so well for the dolls. I'm going to ink the edges of this. I can't get down in that neck or it will create lots of problems, so I'm not going to bother. I forgot my glue stick, so please no comments on this Elmer's glue stick that was here. Elmer's is okay for kids, but it's not going to stick on your craft projects very well compared to the better quality glue sticks that you buy at scrapbook stores. Okay, so we have the top of her dress. Now I'm going to take the skirt and I'm going to make a short skirt. And again, I'm not going to ink the entire skirt, nor am I going to stamp on this entire piece of paper because I don't want to waste. Especially when I get a paper that becomes one of my favorites, like this one. So here we have half of a skirt, and I'm going to cut that out. And that doesn't look very natural, does it? Although if you were doing a little primitive style, that would work okay. Now, if you're not an artist and you don't have an eye for drawing, what you can do, I'm going to take a peach pencil so you can see this. The waistline has a curve. You can follow that curve, and I'm just going to draw. I'll show it to you. Let me do it really dark. Let me do brown. So I'm going to cut away at it so you won't see it. That is following that waistline curve. So if you were not an artist and you don't draw, you don't have to have an eye to do this on your own. And you can just kind of put in a few, follow that line and just put in a few little curves like that. And voila, you have a skirt. I kind of want it shorter, so I'm going to do that again. I kind of want it not, you know, super sleazy short, but it's super hot here. It's shorts and t-shirt weather, so I'm kind of in the mood for summer. So I made her skirt a little bit shorter. We could even go shorter if we wanted to, but I think we'll do that. I'm going to ink the edges. And then the little ruffle stamp, which looks like this. I already stamped, and I stamped it twice. So I'm going to cut out one piece. I'm going to ink the edges. I think I was contemplating gluing her skirt on, or cutting it shorter, so I wasn't really quite ready to glue it yet, but I think we'll go ahead and glue it down. And here I have that little ruffle. It's kind of bland, but the other ruffle, I got a lot of pink on there. So I'm going to cut the sides and the waist of this ruffle, and I'm going to shorten it up a bit. And we'll ink the edges. It's a little bit crooked, but I tend to draw crooked. There's lots of mistakes on my stamps. I could point them all out. They are there. There's that purple glue. Okay. So I would pop dot that up, but I forgot my pop dots. So there you've got a double ruffle peplum. And then to even make it more cute, we could add a flower to the side. That's kind of a huge flower. Oh, all the flowers back. Oh, here's a good flower. Nope. Not going to work. But anyway, sometimes I do cut them down. A little flower right there would be absolutely adorable, or even just a little tiny, tiny ribbon bow. To make her even more summery, I brought the hat stamp that is from the new stamp line where all the girls come with a hat, and Audrey, the 1950s girl, comes with a hat. I did this for a reason and I forgot, my little brain. So with these hats, you cut out that top edge, and it always kind of has been a disappointment to me because it's very difficult to ink that edge without messing up your paper. So I'm going to take, and this paper is, it's an older line, All About Me, but it's still available, and I love this side because it just always has reminded me of like a straw hat. So I'm going to shade the top of that line with that dirty blonde color, and it's just the perfect coloration for this. And I'm going to bring it up a little bit, and we're going to do some shading where her head is going to go. So you can see exactly where I did some shading, and we're going to go ahead and blend that. This hat also came in an accessories kit. I think it was a little bit smaller, but it's always been one of my favorite pieces to use. And this comes from the days of playing paper dolls, when you had all these hats and you had to cut these little slits. And I didn't round that out very well. You can take your distress tool and kind of sand out some of those sharp corners when you're cutting round. So I did ink the edges brown, and there she has her hat. And one of my favorite things to put on the hats is the teeny tiny rose wired flowers, which which I don't have with me, but look at even this big flower is gorgeous. It would probably go like right there. Super, super, super cute. Love that. On a Mother's Day card, very cute. Well, I did that, all of that, and I forgot to show you what I was going to do. This was the main reason I was doing this. We have her dress. I took off her peplum, and I'm going to take the same pencil, and I shaded this side with the flesh tone. I'm going to take this pencil and I'm going to do some shading on her dress. I can't believe I did that. It's my old mind. So in all these little lines that are the folds, I just took my pencil and colored them in. And again, I truly just kind of did it kid style. I'm going to shade a little bit along the bottom. It's much easier when it's not attached. And I'm going to do the same on the top, on this peplum. So the bottom piece with all these folds, I'm not going to bother, but I will do a little bit along the sides to give it some definition because it is a cream color. And then on the shorter piece, I'm going to do the folds. And these pencils, they come in all different color ranges, from brights to pastels, so you can do this on any kind of paper that you use. And I'm just blending. The key to this blending is using a brush that does not have a ton of water on it. If you get your brush too wet, you're going to end up with wrinkly, watery paper. And when your brush is just a little bit damp, you're not going to deal with any of that. And you can see this doesn't require a whole lot of talent. There's what it looks like shaded, and it just gives you that little extra, just that little extra detail, which we all love on our crafts. And again, I would certainly pop dot the top of that ruffle on there just to give it a little added dimension. And then her hat, which was really shaded. I probably should have done her as a little redhead because the hat blends in, and she does look very California springy. So that is that. And then, because we have about 10 minutes, oh, and I put her on just a little tag that I had picked up all kinds of scraps off my table I had an old tag sitting around. I stuck that in there. Coffee break, wooden icon teapot, which I absolutely love. It looks so cute with her. So she looks like she's all ready to go to a tea party. And there's her jewelry. Just a simple strand of pearls and a bracelet. So super, super cute. So let's go back to this kid paper pad and we'll try and experiment. This is from scratch. This was just a practice. I was practicing watercolor. So what if we did a skirt? I wish I had, and I'm sure in this room somewhere there, oh, there is, right there. All you have to do when you're in here is look, and you will find what you're looking for. This is Rita. She's my new 1940s stamp. And I'm going to, let's do it here. I'm going to go ahead and stamp her I just stamped her dress. I didn't do the whole thing because we're talking 10 minutes. Let's do, what colors do I have here? My stomach's starting to growl. I've got some, I think the greens might, because I've got a light and a dark. Even though I really want to dig into those pinks. Okay, so ooh, that'll be nice for St. Patrick's Day. I am going to, I'm not going to do the entire piece. I'm kind of going around the edges here. And I will show you when I'm done. I'm following the lines. I'm just basically following the lines. So it's kind of paint by number if you really think about it. So let me show you that. Very light green. And now I'm going to take my brush. I'm on watercolor paper, so my brush can be even a little wetter than normal. And I may get a little bit of that brown. I'm trying to stay away from my edges because I did not let the ink dry. And I want white. I want there to be white on the paper. I don't want to do the entire piece. Let's bring some of this out more. If you were doing this on a piece of paper that you weren't cutting out, feel free to go outside the lines a little bit, because when you look at greeting cards or anything that's watercolored, you will see that things aren't always in the lines. So there's a that's really showing up lime. It's not as limey. Then I'm going to take the dark, and I'm not going to draw it on my paper because my paper is still wet. Let's see, we'll try it. And I'm going to take this darker green, get it where I want it, and just go along my lines. This is really St. Patrick's Day looking. That's kind of a fold in a dress that would be rather dark. And there's just a hint with a lot of white still there, just a hint of color. I can wet my brush. I can bring it in even more if I want to take away some of that white. I'm being really sloppy and getting towards my wet ink edges. And then if you did something like this, you could actually go in with a marker and do some little pin dots or something fun like that, or little tiny rhinestones to make a polka dot dress. You could do all kinds of fun things with that. And if you wanted, I mean, it's endless what you could do. So anyway, I think that's about all I have for you today. I can't think of anything else regarding these stamps. I think I did everything I was supposed to do, as I forget things along the way. So thank you guys for showing up today. I hope you have fun designing your own dresses with this stamp that just has 3 simple pieces to it. You can do a lot with it. And these little stamps come in their underwear. Shut it. They come in their underwear, so more stamps may be coming along to add to their wardrobe. So anyway, thanks again. Just a reminder, the next show coming up is a mixed media layout with Karen. Karen, I don't know how to say her last name. I think it's Tamer, but it could be pronounced differently. She will be using some new stencils, papers, flowers, and our wonderful new mediums, art mediums. So next Thursday, February 12th at 6:30 Pacific time. Show up for that. Thanks, guys. See you later.